All right. We are back on the CJ5 Beach Cruiser build out. So today we're going to start what I've been dreading, and that is making the CJ5 California smog legal. So right now it's not smog legal, and the reason why, it has Clifford intake manifold, exhaust, aftermarket Weber carburetor, which is definitely not going to pass California smog. So I acquired a full smog system that we're going to try to install here. Many people advise me not to go that route and just to suck it up and go with a Howell EFI California carb compliant system, but it's $2K and that's not in the budget right now. So stock parts were very easy to come by, so we acquired those, and now the game plan is to get them installed and then get it smogged and registered here in California. But before we remove everything here, we're going to jump in the garage. I'm going to show you what I've got. Here are majority of the parts I acquired to make the Jeep California carb compliant. Let's start over here. We have the exhaust manifold, intake manifold, carb, fuel lines, bunch of hoses, sensors, and so on. So I was told that was complete. Additional fuel lines down here. We've got this stuff over here, which we're gonna probably sell, get rid of if we don't end up using it. We got the smog pump, some hoses with some other accessories there. We have the air intake, and all we need is the headers. The headers I have on it right now are Clifford headers. They don't have a CO2 sensor in there. Maybe I'll just weld one up, but I do have someone that has stock headers, so I might just get the stock headers and go from there. Now that I've shown you all the stock smog equipment we're gonna put on this beast, now let me give you a little lowdown on what we're gonna be doing. We've got this aftermarket Clifford valve cover, followed by the intake manifold, this Weber aftermarket carburetor, and the headers. So all these got to come off. So let's get going. Our first step is to go ahead and remove the carb. We've gone ahead and off camera removed all the hoses, the choke, and then the throttle cable as well. So now we're going to remove the carb as a whole. The reason why we're doing that, just to get a little bit more access to the bolts behind it that hold the headers and the intake. Half-ass mechanic install. They used a nut as a spacer because they're too cheap to get the right length bolt. Few bucks just to do it right. Come on. So yeah, it looks like all the bolts that are holding the carb down have a nut as a spacer. Gotta love crappy mechanics. Yeah, baby, carb is off. Yeah, a little bit dirty. Now that we've got the carb popped off, we've got plenty of room to access the bolts that hold on the header and the intake manifold. So we're gonna go ahead and tackle those. Now that we got majority of the bolts out, there's only two left in there supporting it intact. They're loose, ready to come out. So next couple bolts we got to get out is from the exhaust. So we're going to go underneath the Jeep, remove those, and then remove the last bolts here up top, and then everything else should come out as one. So hopefully we can get this done nice and easily. Underneath the CJ, we've got 3 bolts here and then 3 bolts here to remove. And that will free this up to lift the intake manifold and the headers straight out of the engine bay. All 6 nuts and bolts plus the 2 gaskets have been removed from the flanges. So as you can see, they are loose here. So now we're going to go back to the engine bay and see if we can pull everything out. Yeah. Got this guy out. All right, it looks like the headers aren't coming off. I've got to remove some other engine parts to get the headers off, but doesn't seem too difficult. So yeah, let's get on it. I had to loosen up the power steering reservoir mounting bracket in order to push it back towards this side in order to clear up room to get the headers out. So let's see if that did it. All right, header number 1, header number 2. Carb, headers, intake, gaskets gone. It's now clean inside here. Well, not clean. We still got to clean the surface here, get all this remaining gasket material off. And then I guess we're at a stopping point because we do need the stock headers. We don't have those yet. So by the way I took it off, I'm going to have to put it back the same way. So the headers are going to go in first, then the intake, and then the carb. So that's going to basically do it for now. That's going to have to wrap it up for this episode of the CJ5 Beach Cruiser build out. We are at a stopping point due to the fact we need some headers, stock headers that is. So until we get those, we're at a stopping point with installing all the carb legal Smog stuff for the CJ5. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next time.